Not every life-changing decision comes from a dramatic breaking point or a rock bottom, but with a series of small, honest moments that quietly add up to clarity. Moments that don't look like crisis. Moments that don't demand intervention. Moments that simply whisper, I don't want to live this way anymore. Sometimes the most powerful turning point is the moment you stop negotiating with yourself. If you've ever felt solid in your decision to quit drinking, but unsure of how it happened, or wondered if your reason was enough, this episode is an invitation to trust your knowing. I am your host, Brianna Wynn. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Pink Cloud Frequency. So, what is the narrative we've been fed forever about quitting alcohol? You have to hit rock bottom to quit. You have to be an alcoholic to quit. But the actual unpopular truth is that some people do hit one big rock bottom, but most don't. Some people do identify as alcoholics, but most don't. Sometimes the hardest decisions you make are not rooted in disaster, but from slowly lowering your standards for yourself. Life-changing decisions are commonly made after a series of quiet events playing out unfavorably. By the time you leave a relationship, is it because of one instance? No. It's all of the little instances that built up when you finally decide enough is enough. Sure, there may have been some moments more dramatic than others, but it's usually not one. Alcohol-free decisions don't have to come from dramatic rock bottoms either. In fact, if they did, those rock bottoms would make change easier, while quiet misalignment can take longer to act on. If you've drank on a regular basis at any point in your life, quiet misalignment may look like hanging out with people you didn't want to be around, or found yourself thinking, why am I here? Making a fool of yourself at your best friend's wedding. Dialing your ex while you're in a new relationship. Blowing hundreds or thousands of dollars on a night out that you really didn't have to spend. Starting an argument that was completely unjustified. Calling out of work or canceling plans. Driving yourself home under the influence. That happens all the time. We justify it because it's only one or two, but the reality is it's over the legal limit. And so you don't think about it because nothing has happened. You haven't gotten a DUI. You haven't gotten pulled over. So the behavior goes unchecked. How about losing your wedding ring or a meaningful piece of jewelry? Falling asleep with your clothes and makeup still on. Maybe you're stubborn. Maybe your oven or your stove was still on. Falling asleep with the keys in your door, so your home is fully accessible. Going to bed without praying. Waking up and missing your workout. Not being able to get out of bed to drive your child to the bus stop or to school, so they miss an entire day. Maybe it's Saturday and you've slept in until 12 or 1 or 2 o'clock and you felt like you wasted your whole day away. You may have experienced all of these situations or none of them. Because everyone's misalignment looks different. What feels misaligned for you may actually be a rock bottom for someone else, and vice versa. The point is, your small moments those moments that aren't dramatic but don't feel aligned with who you really are, over time, those moments accumulate and your standards for yourself and your life keep reaching new lows. And that builds up over time until eventually you may not even recognize your own self. And the feeling you're left with is discomfort. You're stuck with the thought of, this isn't me. This isn't aligned with who I want to be. I'll never forget when one time I was in Ireland with my son and two of my best friends. This was back in 2019, and one of the first few nights we went out, we had drinks, and then the next day we wake up and he appears all out of sorts. He's like super overwhelmed and he's asking, is this our life? Is this what it looks like? And he's like storming all around the house like he's mad. And my response, what do you mean? He asks, is this all there is? I mean, seriously, isn't there more to life besides just this? Going out and drinking? So I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with him? We're in Ireland, touring a beautiful country, having a beautiful time. The month before this, I was on a cruise in Bermuda with another friend. This month, I'm in Ireland. We're all eating good, drinking good, visiting nice places. My son's here with us to experience it. So in my eyes, we're living it up. He must have just woken up on the wrong side of the bed, right? But that was his misalignment talking. He felt in his soul there had to be more. It didn't matter that he was on vacation. It didn't matter who he was with. What mattered was he knew something wasn't sitting right. And that feeling, you can't ignore that feeling. It's almost like a calling. You can't ignore that. Nothing has to be blowing up in your life. There doesn't have to be a rock bottom. You don't have to cheat on your spouse or get in a car accident under the influence or lose custody of your children or go to jail or some other, life-changing situation. You don't have to go through that. You didn't go through that, right? So you're not panicking, trying to figure out how to undo what you did. But nonetheless, something within you is slipping. Something feels out of touch. In that bar, that standard you have for yourself, it feels like it gets lower all the time. This is the paradox, right? Because a rock bottom creates urgency. It removes ambiguity. It forces you to make a decision. When shit hits the fan, the choice is obvious. The cost of inaction is clear. Standards are crossed all at once, so you have no choice but to do something about it. A rock bottom is painful, but there's no negotiating with it. You're fully aware that whatever happened would never have happened if you weren't drinking. And you don't want to risk that again. On the other hand, the danger of those small moments, of that quiet erosion of yourself, of your character, that happens because those small moments don't always feel dramatic. There's no alarm bell. There's no outside intervention. No one's calling you saying you need to go check into rehab or detox, right? But over time, your self-respect erodes. Your standards lower. You lose trust in yourself. You start to normalize what once felt off. You excuse bad behavior by one too many drinks. You look in the mirror in the morning and you're unsure if it's your reflection looking back. I drank alcohol for well over 20 years of my life, almost 25. So there's been highs, lows, and in-betweens. But I have definitely done some things that didn't reflect my true character. No, my life wasn't in shambles. All my shit was together, right? But I've hooked up with people I wouldn't have. Not because there's anything wrong with the person or with anyone doing that, but because I'm a conservative and traditional woman. Casual hookups do nothing for me. One time, my friends and I were on vacation in Las Vegas, and we went and got tattoos at a stranger's house. That was like 30 minutes away from the strip, maybe even more, actually. Maybe it was an hour. Like, that is a really precarious situation to be in when you're in another state where you know nobody and you're showing up to a person's house to what you think is to go get a tattoo. I mean, that could have ended differently. That sounds like a Dateline episode waiting to happen. But it felt normal because we were drinking. Having food delivered late at night. Before I stopped drinking, for some reason, it just felt like this became more common. Like I would order takeout food, things I wouldn't even normally eat. Chinese food. Like, yeah, I'll eat Chinese food, every now and again. But when I was drinking, I ate it more often and they were open late at night. So I could order Chinese food, even Domino's one time. And like, I would literally pass out before it even arrived. Or have to check the next morning, like, did this come? And then I grab a bag and I'm eating a fucking crab rangoon at 6 a.m. That's disgusting. Like that's gross. And again, it's not about judgment. Maybe, whatever. That's someone's thing. Maybe they like eating crab rangoons at 6 a.m. I don't know. But it's not my thing. And so when those moments happen, it's like, no, you're not destroying your life. But you're slowly and persistently settling for less of yourself. You're not reaching your best self. This is why it can take longer to quit without a rock bottom. Because there's no single moment to point to. So there's no turning point. Your brain keeps saying, it's not that bad. I'm still functioning. I'll do better tomorrow. I won't order takeout tomorrow. I'm not an alcoholic. I'll take a week or two off. And when you compare yourself to people who may not have your same standards or values or principles that they live by, you end up living vicariously through their poor behavior. And you stay stuck in this phase of consideration. It's not enough to move you, the things going on in your life. Nothing's too bad to move you away from it. So you continue drinking. You try to manage, when you'll drink or what you'll drink. You negotiate about having just one more after you told yourself you would only go out and have two. And then that cycle continues. But the weight of the small moments, it becomes heavier each time you drink. And you begin to become more self-aware. You're negotiating with yourself too much. You get tired of managing your own behavior. You're always in this cycle. Drunk, hungover, recovering, refreshed. Drunk, hungover, recovering, refreshed. Your days start to become one and the same. You don't feel proud of your lifestyle. You start to feel like you're just existing with no direction. And then on those days or weeks or months when you don't drink, the clarity starts to show up, right? And you realize how refreshed you feel. and you say to yourself, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to live like this. I want more for myself and for the people that I care about. It's not dramatic. You're not broken, right? But you start paying attention. You may not be ready, but you've outgrown who you used to be. You're unwilling to lower that bar one more inch. So then you stop trying to manage and negotiate. And you start to choose yourself. And this is the shift. Because trying not to drink requires willpower and resistance. But choosing yourself only requires alignment. Choosing yourself isn't a punishment. The decision to quit alcohol becomes less about alcohol and more about self-respect. You didn't quit because things were unbearable in your life. You quit because you want more integrity in your life. You didn't have to wait for your life to fall apart to decide that your life matters. You don't need devastation to justify change. You don't need to identify as an alcoholic to decide that alcohol no longer serves you. You don't need proof beyond your own knowing. In your alcohol-free life, you wake up every day with clarity, with energy, with intention. You enjoy your coffee or your tea and your morning routines. You wake your child up, cook them a nice breakfast, prepare their lunch, and drive them to school or to the bus stop. You hit the gym or those Pilates classes. You're more present at work and engage with your clients. You build your business. You start to feel a sense of direction of what you're working for today and where you're going 5 years from now. You register for that class. You enroll in that program. You start learning that language you always wanted to learn. You feel purposeful. You start to do the things that enhance your life. You get your finances in order. You travel more. You eat a salad instead of a burger. You get out of that toxic relationship. You wake up Saturday morning and go to the sauna. You get that red light therapy or that microneedling. You're more patient with your children. You're kind to your coworkers. You're emotionally available for your friends. And when adversity hits, you're more resilient. So choosing yourself is gentle. It's quiet. It's authentic. It's steady. It's relief because you stop resisting. There are many paths that lead to the same road. So however you get to that road, just know that you have permission to change. If you hit rock bottom, that clarity is valid. If you don't hit rock bottom, that clarity is still valid. Because rock bottom may break you open, but quiet moments wake you up. Either way, the moment that you choose yourself counts. So no matter how far along you are, day 1, 100, 10,000, honor your decision to quit. Don't forget all of those small, quiet moments that you lost yourself in. Because you found yourself in those small, quiet moments too. You settle for what you accept, not what you deserve. So accept your true self. Set your own standards and live by them. So for your reflection today, consider, where have small compromises been asking you to raise your standards, not punish yourself? Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Pink Cloud Frequency. Have you subscribed to the channel yet? Please do, and consider leaving a 5-star written review. Thank you.